Did you know Microsoft has officially ended support for Windows 10? Upgrade to Windows 11 with an LG Gram laptop. Voted PC Mag's Reader's Choice Top Laptop Brand for 2025. Thin and ultra lightweight, the LG Gram keeps you productive anywhere. And Windows 11 gives you access to free security updates and ongoing feature upgrades. Visit lgusa.com/iHeart for great seasonal savings on LG Gram laptops with Windows 11. PC Mag Reader's Choice used with permission. All rights reserved.
Is death really the end? We say the end like it's settled, like it's obvious, like it doesn't deserve a second look. But if it is the end, the next question should be, the end of what? I'm Selene Castrovilla.
I'm Pascale.
Welcome to this week's Life in Jest. Okay, so
All right, let's do it.
I guess we could call this episode Death in Jest and take that for what you will. The Canterbury Tale thing, it's in many a true word hath been spoken jest, like death in jest. Is it really jest?
I like that, actually.
Well, thank you. So, as we were discussing before, metaphysics is such a rabbit hole, and I went down that yesterday doing research. And I don't even know, I do know why, because of Casey, my son, and I don't know what I was looking for, but isn't that what everybody says when they lose somebody? Right? And I've never really understood metaphysics, and I realize why. Because it's part of philosophy. And as you and I know from our brief experience with philosophers, it is so confusing, so complex. They make it so complex. When I tend to look for simpler, literary is not complex, contrary to what a lot of people think. Literary actually is using beautiful words, but as simply as possible. That's really a rule of writing literature. But philosophy just gunks it up with so much language. It's almost like law. You know, when you read something by lawyers, it's like, what? It's like purposely written that we won't understand it. You know, so we have to hire them. Philosophy reads like that. Its own language. It's so frustrating.
There's a lot of blah, blah, blah.
So much.
I get very bored.
Yes.
So bored.
I finally came up with this definition for metaphysics: the branch of philosophy that deals with the first principles of things, including abstract concepts such as being, knowing, substance, cause, identity, time, and space. Very light subjects that don't mean anything. And it was really hard getting to the core of this stuff. And who knows if it even is the core, but it was something that I found acceptable. There's no way, obviously, we're going to address the majority of it. But for our purposes about life and death, and if death is the end, I didn't want to present anything that left people more confused than when they started. I like to give food for thought. We discuss, and then people discuss things for themselves. I mean, we don't want to tell people what to think, but we don't want to leave people completely confused by I'm not going to say it's mumbo jumbo, but it's just stuff that we don't understand. So I spent the whole day yesterday distilling a lot of this down. I couldn't even believe it. Like, where's my day gone?
Oh my God. I spent 10 minutes. I was like, I am over it. I looked them up because I wanted to know what I'm talking about. I mean, I was pretty sure I knew what they were, this topic. But I'm like, I don't want to sound like a dum-dum, even though I do sometimes. But I was like, oh my God, that there was a lot of blah, blah, blah. You know, I like Reader's Digest. I want you to just say it like it is. So I looked for the simplified definitions. And then I'm like, okay, that's what I thought it was.
Yeah. Well, I saw a funny thing, and it said when people go to the Barnes & Noble's, the metaphysics section, it's been changed so much that a lot of times they'll put the crystals books in there. And it's not what it is. And then when people that are into the crystals sign up for a metaphysics course, they're like shocked because they've signed up for this philosophical thing.
I have to tell you, I worked at Barnes & Noble. Some of those sections, I don't know who decides.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for something in Barnes & Noble, you're going to have to look in several different places because what you want might not be where you think you're going to find it.
Yeah, well, some of these things are open for interpretation, but metaphysics really isn't the crystals. That really should have its own section.
Yes.
I thought that was funny. So the word metaphysics is based on Greek ta meta ta pushika, pushika. I don't know, which means the things after the physics. So it was later interpreted as meaning the science of things transcending what is physical or natural. And Aristotle wrote about metaphysics, calling it first philosophy, first science, or wisdom. He also wrote a collection of lessons called Physics that deals with the most general philosophical principles of nature or moving things, both living and non-living, rather than physical theories or investigations into particular contents of the universe. Physics was the name of that work, and then centuries later, there was an editor working on going through Aristotle's stuff to catalog it or whatever he was doing. They think it was a guy named Andronicus of Rhodes. I wonder if that's where Rhodes Scholars comes from. But anyway, they think it was him. Andronicus is kind of a cool name, by the way. Andronicus.
Yes, it is.
Like for a cat? What about if you named your cat Andronicus? That's a noble cat. I like
It's
it.
a possibility.
I like it a lot. But anyway, the term metaphysics was coined by that editor to describe Aristotle's works that came after his physics. It's literally meaning after the physicals. But then came to mean beyond physics, like the stuff that physics can't explain. So that's how the term came to be. Aristotle thought when you die, your soul's intellect remains, but you don't necessarily hold on to who you were. You kind of work on other stuff. You know, this is all like combinations of what people think now. We think about past lives and how we're not really aware of them. He's sort of in that line, but he didn't really say anything about returning back to Earth as another person in another body, but he thought of it more as you're not really going on as that person. You're just going on more with contemplating the intellect of everybody, just higher things, I guess. This made death a complex natural process where the body decays, but the divine intellect might persist in its pure function. This apparently is a contrast to Plato's view. I don't know what Plato's view was, but it made me think of Play-Doh. Because the Play-Doh makes me think of our brain all mushy. No, never mind.
Oh, my.
Yeah, that's where my mind goes. Metaphysically, death involves the transition of matter, but the soul's active intellect transcends the mortal body's limitations, seeking eternal ousia, which means being or substance, through divine thought, making death both a natural end and a potential gateway to higher, unchanging reality for the mind. So this is all wow. So to Aristotle, death is the end of the body, but not the end of the being itself. Intellect survives the death of the body. This is interesting. This subject is still a hot philosophical topic, and key metaphysical questions are continued on today, such as what is being? What is consciousness? What happens when form ends? Is there something that continues beyond the physical body? And as we know, people debate all this kind of stuff. Metaphysics is interested in studying shared human experiences across cultures. Across time and place, humans report communication with the dead, symbolic tools and rituals, light, energy, presence, ongoing relationship rather than disappearance. And the reports appear across religions, across belief systems, across people who don't know one another. And metaphysics does not dismiss experiences because they aren't measurable. It asks why the same kinds of experiences reoccur across cultures, eras, and belief systems. I really like that because I have a problem with how we're so separate from each other with these tribal kinds of things. In a way, the metaphysics is bringing everyone together. Why don't we look at our shared experience of these things rather than separate ourselves into these little pockets of things? Not only would it be better for us as human beings to, I think, get together and share our experiences and get comfort from each other's experiences. I know when I hear other people's experiences talking to a loved one that's passed, I love that. And the more I hear about it, it just makes me so happy. And what if we all did that? Because there's so many people we never hear from for many reasons, right? Like we're all separate. Not only is it just impossible based on political things that are happening in countries, but and all those things, but it's also just the way we're raised. These cultures are like, keep to your own people. And I just don't think that serves us, particularly now when we have so many problems. It'd be better if we got together. But humanity can comfort each other.
Well,
So I
don't
really
you
like
think
that.
that's gotten better with the internet? I mean, the internet is a lot of bad things. I get that, but it is easier now to find
Yeah.
like-minded people or
Yes, you
people who
can.
have
Yes,
experienced the same thing as you. Like, look at all those
that's
online
right.
groups. You know, I mean, I'm not, I agree with
No,
you,
you're
but
right.
it's a
But
little
that's like,
better. It's gotten
it
better.
is to find individual people that we're all seeking
Yes.
things.
Yeah, but
Absolutely.
not, I
But
understand what you're
I
saying.
was thinking in terms of all of humanity, if we just
Yeah.
had a collective thing together, and I think it would help us just like, what is going on here? What is going I don't know. But when you hear about, this is slightly different, I guess, but all the hate and all the murder, why? Why? I don't think you're born hating. I think children are pure. When I see babies, they're always so pure. I don't see any evidence of malice in these people. Like somebody's indoctrinating them to hate. That's what I think. You think so?
I agree to a certain point. I also think you can't blame everything on everyone else completely. Like, you're an individual. There are decisions that you make no
Yeah,
matter what. But
when all
those,
right. Yeah, but
I'm kind of
like
on the, like,
gangs
I
in
think it's a
America, we have
combination.
gangs.
Yes. And I
But
do.
okay, it's not really the people that are raising them. Yeah, it's the gangs, like they come in their family that they didn't have. They're giving them something they didn't have, and they get indoctrinated, they get brainwashed into it.
I,
And same when people join the terrorist groups that indoctrinate people.
yes. But there's also people that go around and murder people.
Yeah, well, that's a
I'm not
different thing.
talking about groups.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
I
yeah,
agree with what
that's
you're saying. But
totally different. I'm talking about
yeah.
killing for a cause, like some
Yeah.
some religious cult or anything where it's a group thing, a group mentality. They've decided this, okay? And I'm
I,
not talking about like serial killers have a mental thing going on with them. I don't think
yeah.
that's cultural. I don't think society
But
made them that at all.
okay, but you could take two people who have had the same life and they won't necessarily make those same choices.
Yeah. Well, I didn't say it happens to everybody, but I'm saying that
That's the
I
part
think
that
that this is,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yes, I
Well, it's
feel
not
like,
nothing is no, no, no. Nothing is absolute. Nothing is absolute. But unfortunately, those people that don't join half the time in really vulnerable places, they wind up dead, you know, because it's like if join or die. I mean, again, not an expert in any of this stuff, and then it's not necessarily what we're even talking about, except to say somehow this hate starts. And I do think when you're a vulnerable youth, I mean, look at gangs in America, right? These kids are so vulnerable. Their mothers never imagined that they'd be in a gang doing drive-bys. That's not what they wanted for
no,
them. But
oh, yeah,
they got swept into this thing. We hear people talk about it, people that were in gangs. A lot of rappers talk about it, about that lifestyle. But some people don't do it. There's a lot of people that don't. But I just wish that we had more of a counter thing of good, of like join us and do the good stuff. But
I
and that
know.
even and experiences about death or communicating with loved ones, I think is a good way to bring everybody in because we all mourn. No matter who we are, we mourn, we grieve, and I think that would be a good way in to come together because it's something that we all share. So that's all I wanted to say. So metaphysics asks, why does this happen so consistently across cultures? And it's not asking whether people are right or wrong. It's asking why humans report communication after death, why these reports cluster around grief, why symbols like light, energy, and dialogue appear again and again. And it addresses us as a part of a long pattern of meaning. It's not just random, it's a pattern. Death is a pattern from life, a continuation, in other words. So I will talk about my experiences with Casey because I wrote it down here, talk about my experiences with Casey. Hey, everyone, it's Selene. Sorry to interrupt and break into this episode, but upon reflection, I realized that the section where I communicate with Casey with the sticks doesn't really make any sense without the visual. So I have edited it. I have edited most of it out, left a little bit in with context. But if you want to see that, I have left it in the YouTube version, the video version, so you can see everything that happened with Casey with the sticks and how I communicated with him. I just felt that it just was way too confusing it's just something that's visual. So if I do reference it, when he hugs me, he crosses the two sticks together and hugs me with the sticks. And when yes is a cross and no is the six far apart. Other than that, please check out the YouTube video of this episode and you'll be able to see for yourself how I communicate with Casey with the sticks. Thanks so much for understanding and cheers. Thank you guys. Thanks for everything. If you've listened to the podcast, you know that I communicate with my son and there's a new way I do it now too, but hey everyone, it's Selene. Sorry to interrupt and break into this episode, but upon reflection, I realized that the section where I communicate with Casey with the sticks doesn't really make any sense without the visual. So I have edited most of it out, left a little bit in with context. But if you want to see that, I have left it in the YouTube version, the video version, so you can see everything that happened with Casey with the sticks and how I communicated with him. I just felt that it was way too confusing. It's something that's visual. So if I do reference it, when he hugs me, it's he crosses the two sticks together and hugs me with the sticks. And yes is a cross and no is the sticks far apart. Other than that, please check out the YouTube video of this episode and you'll be able to see for yourself how I communicate with Casey with the sticks. Thanks so much for understanding and cheers. Thank you guys. Thanks for everything. And this right now, he's hugging me. This is how Casey hugs me. And I sleep like this sometimes. It's pretty intense, guys. But I really miss my son a lot. And a lot of people see it happening, but then they want to interpret it as something else. But I'll just show you. I just know it's Casey. I did set up a system of letters and numbers where he could point. And
Ooh,
I tried it, but
Costa
honestly,
Rica,
yeah, we did in Costa Rica. We used the
a
bag
liquor
from
bag,
the bag, yeah, from what is that called when you buy
duty free.
duty free? Yeah, we got the box, and it was an easy box to use. I still have that box.
Yeah,
I still have it, and
that's it. That's
but
what we
it's
had.
hard to do that. Right. But it's hard to do that because you have to find they don't all line up equally. So when you see him going for something, it's like, where do you aim the stick? So have not perfected that. So basically it's yes or no mostly. Basically, yes or no mostly. That makes a lot of sense. So this is how I communicate with my son. And I love this. I don't think I could have survived if I didn't have this. I just don't think I could have survived. And now lately, well, he started communicating with me on Thanksgiving evening. It was raining and I was doing deliveries, which I don't do as much now, luckily. But I was doing them and it looked like, you know how the rain kind of lights up with the headlights outside? But instead of happening on my windshield, it was happening inside. I'm like, oh my God, do I have a leak in my car? But then when I looked, there was no water when I felt, and that's when I realized that it was this light coming down on me. And I realized it was when I got my sticks out, I asked him and he said it was him. He does this when I'm driving. It's these flashes of light. It's always on my left. Like it comes down the middle, but always on my left and always on my left, no matter where I am. And it happens, in the dark, obviously it has to be dark enough that you can see it. Sometimes I hear a little sizzle, like electricity, but sometimes I don't. And it's always on the left. And then there's lightning bolt. Sometimes a cluster of light and sometimes just this one thing. So I really love that actually. It's beautiful and it's an instant connection and energy. I really enjoy that. So he does both. I'm really grateful for that. But a lot of people are like, oh, it's not him. It's an evil spirit. Why would an evil spirit want to
Evil
waste their
spirit.
time doing this anyway?
Why do
Like,
people go there?
Did you know Microsoft has officially ended support for Windows 10? Upgrade to Windows 11 with an LG Gram laptop. Voted PC Mag's Reader's Choice Top Laptop Brand for 2025. Thin and ultra lightweight, the LG Gram keeps you productive anywhere. And Windows 11 gives you access to free security updates and ongoing feature upgrades. Visit lgusa.com/iHeart for great seasonal savings on LG Gram laptops with Windows 11. PC Mag Reader's Choice used with permission. All rights reserved.
Why would you go right there?
Because I actually saw that in the Bible it tells you not to communicate with the dead specifically. Like, it's like a rule. It's like do not do
also every horror
or,
movie that's ever been. Yeah. Horror
well,
movies, they always,
I guess they need.
it always turns out to be an evil spirit. But in happy movies, it is
Okay,
not
well,
an evil spirit. So there you go.
I think the horror movies need something
Yeah, of
to have a
course.
basis of. So that's an
Yeah.
easy, and they're also probably using the fact that people are raised about the dead thing because of the
Yeah, of
Bible.
course. Yeah,
So it's probably
definitely.
a win-win for the horror movies. Well, sometimes it is the person they love, but the person they loved has become evil because of anger or something like that. I don't know. I'm not definitely not an expert on horror movies, but I don't just think it's funny how people will believe what they're taught in the Bible and everything without any evidence. But if I'm
I
showing you
can't
that this is
imagine.
happening, they don't want to believe it.
If somebody's telling me
Now,
this, my
Casey,
first thought is not it's an evil spirit. It's just going very dark for no reason.
well, they see it's happening, so they have to provide some sort of explanation, and that's what they've been taught, I guess, but why would the church do that? Well, if they're losing their complete authority on something, if they're being proven wrong about something, they're threatened, they're jeopardized, and when people are afraid of losing control, they act accordingly to try to maintain the control. That's what I think. Religion is very controlling. I think we can agree on that, right? I mean
Well, I don't
it tells people what to do, and they do it. That's control.
listen.
Is that control?
The two of us can agree on that, but that doesn't mean everybody else
Yeah.
can.
Well, I just invite people to think about your religion. Doesn't your religion tell you what to do? I mean, that's
That,
kind of
that
controlling,
yes, but people might be okay with that. I mean, everybody's got their own
I think
beliefs.
they can be okay with it, but this is not everybody. But a lot of people don't realize that they're being told what to do.
A
When
lot
you're
of
raised in
parts
a
of your
certain
life.
way, that's how you are.
Yeah. There's a lot of things in life that, are controlling that people don't realize are. But, whatever. Different strokes for different
Well,
folks,
that's
isn't
true,
that
I
the
guess.
saying?
Well, I just like people to consider things. Sometimes we just do things that we're used to doing because that's the way it was always done, and we don't think about it. That's all. And that happens with relationships. That happens.
Happens with a lot of things.
It's a part of growing up to right when you're a kid, things are done a certain way, and you have no choice but to do it that way. And then you just sort of accepted that this is my life. And unfortunately, when in families, that leads to like generational trauma, because people repeat the stuff that happened to them. I'm not saying that that's religion. I'm just saying it's a good idea to really reflect on everything in our lives and say, let's look at other possibilities, even where we live, our culture. There's other cultures out there. And it's not even like I'm saying another culture is better. Obviously not. They're all what they are. It's more about being understanding about other people, and that goes back to my other thing about getting along and embracing each other rather than staying different. And I think a lot of people stay in their little pockets, even when it comes to like Long Island, right? Long Island. When I would say I was taking my kids to the city, they're like, what? The city?
I
Like
know.
I
I
was
don't know
taking
why
them to
people get
hell,
so weird
you know?
about that.
So
A lot of
that's
people
another
don't
example
like
of
it.
staying in your own little thing. I don't think they really know it because they didn't really go themselves. They know very little. They know the area around Penn Station. You know what I mean? Like how far did they really go? Times Square. They know Times Square, and that is not the best
Oh
part
my
for
God,
sure.
Times
I
Square
mean,
is
it's kind of
hell.
crazy.
It is hell.
It is hell, but it's also a waste of electricity.
I
My
know.
gosh. Oh
It's
my
so
gosh.
funny. You could walk through there at 1 in the morning and it is daylight and there are small children.
Yeah.
Is even going on here? Why are there
The children
children
are always up.
walking
Yeah.
around? Why is it so bright? Why are there so many people? What is even happening here? Like,
Yeah.
I don't
And
like it.
so many conflicting messages. Well, all those ads, they're all in competition for your attention, and it is a drain. It is a drain on us, I think.
I know, but
Um,
that being said, there are a lot of fun things to do if you've never been there. There are,
yeah.
very entertaining things to
Oh,
do
yeah.
in Times Square.
Definitely.
Like, it's
Yeah, that's true.
definitely an
Wait, hold on. I have
experience
to
you
let
should
plug back
have.
in. Yes. Hold on a second.
Okay, everybody, we're going to do quiet time. Let us reflect on what has happened in this episode already. I remember nothing, so I don't know what's happened besides the last 5 minutes. But whatever, we'll keep it going.
All right. Sorry,
Welcome
guys.
back. We've
Anyway,
had a chat.
thank you. I wanted to share that about Casey, that I communicate with him as I've shared before, and the new development about the energy, the electricity, which is, they
Which
say that
other people
we're
don't
energy.
see, but we don't
Nobody
see
sees it.
it
It was happening to me
because
right in front of my son. No.
and me.
Yeah.
And you said, "Do you see that?" And I
Yeah.
did not. Yeah. It was in your house in your other sunroom.
Yeah. Right.
And
Yeah.
yes, I did
Yeah.
not see it. but it's not meant for me either. So,
Well, yeah.
I mean, as long as the person it's meant
Well,
for is
maybe I
seeing
am
it,
a
isn't
witch.
that the
Somebody called me
important
a
part?
No, I think it's well, it happened. Yeah, I also asked my son and my ex-husband, and they didn't see it either. Someone told me I'm clairvoyant. I don't think I'm clairvoyant because that's a person that can see events in the future, predict things. And Casey cannot
Yeah.
predict things. I asked him to give me lottery numbers once. He did do it, but it did not work. And I said, Casey, was this a joke? And he said, yes. I'm like, thank you. I just I went to all
That
this
is
trouble.
very Casey.
He can't predict the future. I can't predict. I guess if they could predict lottery numbers, everybody could be rich if they could get them somehow.
Oh,
But
guess what?
I don't
I
know what I
didn't
am
tell
like.
you.
But I did get called the witch by what? What?
Someone gave me a scratcher for Christmas. I won 25 bucks and I
Very
almost
nice. Wait, how
threw
much
it
did you win?
away because 25 bucks. I threw it away
Yeah,
because I don't know how to play them and God forbid I
nice.
should read something. But someone mentioned how it was played and I'm like, oh, I think I won. It's very exciting because
You are
I
so
don't,
quick to throw things away.
I threw it right in the garbage. I'm like, oh, I didn't win. I also
Wow.
didn't read, but whatever.
Well, they are confusing the scratch offs. They that's good. Congratulations.
Thank you. I was very excited.
I am very big on buying things and never checking them. That's very
I
good.
usually
It
don't,
reminds
but
me, I have the Win 4s. I have to check them because I started playing briefly. But anyway, I got called a witch in the hospital when I had my brain tumor removed because the woman was really driving me crazy with all this God stuff. She's a very religious woman. So I took out my sticks and I was like, "Hi, Casey," and he hugged me and he was talking to me. And she goes, "You're a witch. You're a witch." And she was a nurse. I'm like, "Ooh," and then I'm like, "Lucky we're
nurse
not in Salem."
treating a brain tumor patient. Hello.
Yes, isn't that nice? Yeah, I know. But she left, thank God, and I don't think I ever saw her again. I
She
just
didn't
couldn't
want
take
to
all
come
this
back.
proselytizing. Like she was just going on with the God and the Bible, and I just didn't want to hear it. So anyway, I love you, baby, and this is my life, guys. So I wanted to talk about alchemy, which is another thing that's really confusing, I think.
Yeah.
Now, the book The Alchemist, no, but alchemy is not magic, and it's not supernatural power. Do you know what alchemy is?
I just read this yesterday and no, I don't know.
Well, it is another one of those things that has a lot of confusing stuff, and I feel like they assumed some sort of something. I don't know, but it's the transformation of something broken or base into something meaningful and refined. So, alchemy in grief is what happens to a person when loss forces transformation. I really like that. It's kind of like hitting rock bottom with something and then you do something or you die. You know what I mean? Or it could be transformation of the human heart. People talk about it in terms of objects, transforming an object into something else, but you can transform the human heart. When people hear alchemy, they often imagine secret powers or mystical abilities. But historically, that's the least important part. At its deepest level, alchemy is about transformation under pressure. So it's not about turning lead into gold, which is the kind of thing that's what people talk about, the properties of things, but it turns what breaks us into something that can still live. So alchemy is a human process, not a supernatural one. And as far as me, I'm engaged in alchemy because I took an unbearable loss. And instead of sealing it away or letting it destroy me, I'm transforming it into meaning, connection, and inquiry. It was just sort of clawing my way out of a well and reaching for whatever I could get. Like it was just complete desperation. And it was never like, what can I do now? The sticks I knew how to use because I'd used them for years before. I always knew about these sticks ever since I took a walking tour and I was on a ghost tour and the guy handed out the sticks and said we could use them to communicate with spirits, and everybody else just sort of ignored it or they tried it and walked away. But I used the sticks and I was communicating with something. Something was answering me. That was my first journey with the sticks. By the way, if you're interested in these, you can buy them. They're called divining rods or sometimes dowsing rods because people use them to find water for some reason. I don't really understand that, but dowsing rods or divining rods. And my first ones were kind of expensive in one of those shops, the not metaphysical shops, the crystal shops, that kind of thing. But these I got on Amazon. I think they're $10. And you see they fold into little pen type of thing. People think it's a pen sometimes. So I have one I keep in my purse, and I think I bent this one. I can't get it all the way down. But anyway, they're like $10 on Amazon. And I recommend them because, well, even if you don't believe, they're entertaining as hell. you know? And I love how he hugs me. That's just my favorite. But anyway, I was very good with them. I got very interested. But it's true that if you don't know what spirit you're talking to, the spirit can lie to you. I don't know if necessarily being, it's not evil, but whenever you and I used to ask future questions and we got answers that were absolutely not true, absolutely didn't come out. And I think that it was just somebody having fun with us, knowing that they couldn't really predict it. They were just doing it as we were asking them. So they just answered, but it would never worked. Any of the prediction stuff never worked out, you know?
If I was a spirit, I would totally do that.
Yeah, and one time,
That would be
so
so
my friend's brother-in-law was missing, and they lived near me. So I was walking with them, and she had another friend that is something where you can see things, and this friend said that he was dead and was by a body of water. I have water by my house, but they lived in Oceanside. And there was different kinds of water over there, little creeks and things. I said, let me get my sticks. And I went and got my sticks, and I asked my sticks, and my sticks said he was alive. And the sticks led us, we were walking, and unfortunately, I decided, the sticks stopped and pointed at a shed, and I decided, oh, he must be in the shed. But it was my mistake, because just because they pointed at the shed didn't mean it was the end of the road. You know what I mean? He could have been there briefly, he could have walked past the shed. I just decided, oh, he's in the shed. So we tried knocking on the door of the people, and they didn't answer. I mean, I can't blame them. We called the cops and this and that, and he wasn't in the shed. I realized, why did I make that assumption? But within the next day or two, they found him and he was alive. Something had happened. I won't get into it, but he was alive. So my sticks were right. Naturally, when Casey died, I turned to what I already knew. Alchemical work. Oh, chemical. Alchemical work is transforming something into meaning, connection, and inquiry. Old alchemists believed transformation only happened after nigrido, the blackening, the collapse. Well, isn't it like they talk about you have to hit rock bottom? Another thing where everything goes together. You can find the same thing in different areas. The moment where everything familiar dissolves. Grief is nigrido. It's the collapse. Anybody that's lost would agree that. So alchemy doesn't erase grief, but it asks, what can grief become? So alchemy isn't about escaping pain. It's about staying present long enough for pain to change form. Alchemy was a tradition that evolved over centuries, and people engaged with it at different depths. And over time, historians and philosophers noticed that alchemy consistently operated on three interrelated levels. Number one was the physical layer, the early chemistry, and that's the one people talk about a lot, when alchemists experimented with metal and minerals and heat and transformation, and like turning iron into gold, that kind of thing. So that's actually the most literal and least controversial meaning, even though they're transforming things, which is interesting. They were trying to understand how matter changes. And this work directly contributed to modern chemistry, actually, which is really fascinating. So they were like the early chemists. So when people say alchemy involved turning lead into gold, they really mean that alchemy was an early attempt to understand transformation in matter. And that's historical fact. Then there's a psychological layer about interchange. Over time, alchemists realized something important. The process of transformation affected the person doing the work. The patience, frustration, failure, attention, and endurance required to do alchemical work changed the practitioner. And later thinkers, especially Carl Jung, noticed that alchemical texts were full of collapse, darkness, disillusion, reformation. These mirrored human psychological experiences, especially crisis and grief. So this layer came to mean inner transformation, change under pressure, the psyche reorganizing itself after breakdown. And this is where alchemy begins to resemble human experience, not laboratory procedure. That's definitely more me. I mean, there's no way I'm going to ever do anything scientific. And the spiritual layer is the third one, symbolic rebirth. The spiritual layer is often misunderstood. It does not mean supernatural powers, enlightenment, special status. It means symbolic death and rebirth, identity dissolving and reforming, meaning emerging after collapse. And in this sense, spiritual means concerned with meaning, not mechanics. It's about who someone becomes after they are undone. And one of the beautiful things of the alchemical tradition is the synergy between the science and spirit of life. So I just feel like that is me. I mean, I've been doing all this I had no choice. I did have that Negro, I don't know what the blackness. I had that, and Negro, I don't know.
I feel like you said Negrito because Greedo is the
Negrito?
character on Star Wars.
Was he? Let's see. It was a long time ago when I said that. I don't know. Negrito. My God. Too many notes. Let's see. Negrito. Yeah. You're right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good job.
Listen,
Negrito.
if it reminds me of Star Wars, I got it.
Oh, God. That's so funny. Well, they say you're supposed to,
Nerd.
you have to associate something with something else to remember it. That's a great trick to remember.
Yeah, if you say something that reminds me, it's like if someone's birthday is on or near someone else's birthday, I'll remember.
Right.
Otherwise, no,
Exactly.
I don't remember at all.
Exactly. Exactly. Alchemy and grief. I'm engaged in an alchemical process because love didn't end. There's that great thing about love being an energy and all these things. Talk about another time I went down a whole rabbit hole with Albert Einstein and his daughter. You won't even believe the things I found about that. It's crazy. That could be a whole other episode or at least a mini segment. But anyway, I think most of us think that love is an energy and love doesn't end. But I don't know if there's any proof of that scientifically. I'll put it that way. Uh, Grief didn't calcify and meaning is still being forged. So love didn't end. That does not mean that the relationship didn't change. The person didn't die. It means that the emotional bond did not shut down. Attachment did not disappear. Connection did not become inert. So we still have the connection. In alchemical terms, the material did not become dead matter. Something is still active, still responsible, still not responsible. Something is still active, still responsive, and still alive in meaning. That's the connection with the sticks and the connection with the energy. Grief didn't calcify. Calcification is an alchemical and psychological metaphor. Calcified grief looks like emotional freezing. Right. A lot of people do just sort of shut down and that's it. And they don't want to. I have at least one friend that refuses to listen to any of this. Like, that's it. They just don't want to hear it. And so that's what emotional freezing means to me. Rigid narratives, like just saying this is all meaningless now, like life is meaningless or there's no point of anything. Identity is locked around loss. That's true too. Some people, and I really am, I know, I think part of me is locked around the loss. This is still something I'm working on. And maybe it's because I'm afraid I don't want him to be forgotten. So I have to find a way to honor him without locking myself in the loss. In other words, to honor his life and not mourn the death anymore, but honor him and have him just be a part of me. And I think it's going to be 3 years. It takes a long time to do this.
Of course.
So when grief calcifies, nothing new can form. The loss defines everything and meaning stops moving. And there's a huge danger of that happening to all of us when we're in grief, but and I don't know if I really had a choice. I think he came to me. I don't really understand any of this, but sometimes it's like all the things in my life that happened to me before were preparing. I hate that this had to happen. I don't want it to be. Why did this have to happen? But I guess this is another episode. I guess this is more about how I'm dealing with it and is death, in fact, the end? And I think we're seeing that it's not the end, at least to me. And there are people that don't want to believe that, and it's completely up to you. I'm just presenting what this stuff is that I researched, but I'm also presenting my own experience. And people can certainly take it for what they will. This is definitely not a news show. So in my case, the substance remains workable and I'm not denying it. I'm being resilient, which is very nice. I don't know if I feel resilient. I don't, but I recognize that I'm doing things to help myself.
I think you definitely have. I told you before this episode, I think you've done really well. I know it probably doesn't feel like that, but
sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't.
yeah.
And mornings are the hardest. I wake up, it just, the loss hits you all over again. It's like
Yes.
it's like a very painful Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think mornings is when everything hits people hard.
Yeah. They say that depression is the hardest in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah, because you've disappeared for a while and then you get up and you start thinking of it all over again. It's new every day.
Yeah. Yeah. So meaning is still being forged. This is the core of alchemy. Alchemy is about forging, not resolving. Meaning doesn't arrive fully formed. You have to sort of forge it out yourself, which I really like because it also reminds me of Michelangelo when he said, I saw the angel in the stone and I carved till I set him free. It's all about you doing the work, forging or carving. It's not about it being handed to you. It's already done. And also, I mean, in terms of being a writer or an artist, I think that's the joy of it, is doing that. So I guess I'm doing in my grief what I do as a writer. So I like that. And it emerges slowly, unevenly, imperfectly, and it's shaped by heat, pressure, and time. So I'm still asking questions, I'm still forming language, and I'm still integrating experience, which is so true. Like this stuff I was researching yesterday, in a way, it did provide me comfort thinking about this process of alchemy. Because I'd been thinking about alchemy for a long time, not really understanding what it was because of that book. That book, no. I'm sorry. I wanted to love the book, but no. I like him. He was a born writer, and he's an amazing guy. Uh, and his parents committed him to an institution, a mental institution, because he refused to be anything but a writer, and he escaped like 3 times. So I love that story, but I don't the book. No,
I've never even tried to read that book.
it's terrible. It's one of those parable. Is that what it's called? Parable, fable? No,
I don't know. I
parable.
don't even know
I
what
feel
the
like it's
book
called a
is.
parable.
I just know it didn't sound interesting at the
It's just
time.
this. It's like a fable with a moral. You know what I mean? But first of all, the morals. I'll save this. I'm going to do an episode with Gay and talk about this stuff. But yeah, it's
does that mean I get a week off?
possibly. Don't get
Yeah.
too excited. So alchemy doesn't say this will make sense someday. It says something can still come into being. So something could be made out of it. Certainly, I'm not saying that I have special abilities. I really encourage anybody to try this. I think you have to believe it. I think you can't be your own roadblock. And I'm not saying that grief is a gift. No way is grief a gift. This is not something I would wish on.
No.
I wouldn't wish this on anybody. And I'm not saying that loss leads to enlightenment or pain has a purpose or any of these things. These little trite things. I'm saying that transformation is happening. Meaning is not finished. Meaning comes another way. Collapse doesn't end the story. And that is apparently alchemy. This is what I've learned, that it's the transformation of something into something else. And it doesn't remove pain. It allows pain to change form. And that's the end of my notes. So there. So I hope this made sense. I tried to distill it down into very short. I had piles and piles of notes, but I was confused by it all. I'm like, I cannot bring in what I'm confused by. But I think that I really do like the idea of the forced transformation. My relationship with Casey has absolutely transformed, but it still exists. And I mean, maybe it is at a higher level in a way, because he has communicated with me that he's happy where he is, which is a relief. We want them to be happy, wherever they are. And that's a relief. So I guess it's more about me transferring myself now at this point, because our relationship has transformed and we have this different relationship. And now I have to work on me too. Casey, can you tell us? Wait, hold on. Casey, are you happy? Wait, Casey, go back to your, whoa. Okay. Casey, are you happy where you are? Yes. So that's good. So, and then another time, maybe we could ask him more questions about it, but it's hard with a yes or no to get very specific. Yeah. But there is a book called Many Lives, Many Masters that I think has a lot of interesting, it's about a psychiatrist who through a patient, found out about many lives and many masters. I think it says a lot of stuff that makes sense. So I do recommend that book to read if you want to know more about all this whole process.
I was a little about it, but yeah, then I read it. I was like, yeah.
That's because he didn't really believe in it. Being a psychiatrist, he's kind of against all that stuff. So for him to embrace it is like, wow, you wouldn't expect that. He wasn't one of these people that was always into it.
No, it was really.
But he doesn't say how he feels about it. Like, it talks about the in between, and that's where we go in between these lives. And they told him about that he had a visit. He learned about why his son died and his son died. But I won't go into it. You can read the book, but he doesn't explain how it makes him feel, which is so typical of a psychiatrist. Actually, they're so like clinical. But I wanted to know how it made him feel.
I'm the opposite about it. I like it because you can have your own feelings about it.
But you have your own feelings, but you could still hear someone's experience of how they feel and still have your own feelings about it. It wouldn't be our feeling. I want to know how that made you feel. Like when you read a novel.
Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't.
Well, I just think I think it's a piece left out because it's a natural part of telling a story, like when it's a personal story, not like a bear goes in, a bear and a man, it's not like that, if it's a personal story, part of it is the human experience that comes from it. And it just, I don't know. I thought it was missing. So we don't know how we would feel unless it happens to us. How do I feel, and I feel my feelings are conflicted, I guess, because I'm grateful to communicate with Casey and I'm glad he's okay, but kind of mad at the whole process, I guess. I'm mad at him being taken from me. And I'm supposed to just forgive. I just don't see that happening. And I know it'd be healthier if I could just let it all go, but I don't. No, I don't see that happening. So let's leave it at that. And we'll do our quotes.
I
You
don't
want to do
have
your
any.
quotes? Okay. All right. Well, I have a few quotes. I have one from Buddha. Death is not an end, but a doorway to something beyond. Just as a candle goes out, its flame joins the infinite light of the universe. In this way, we continue not in form, but in essence. I really like that.
Yeah, that was good.
And then Gandhi said, the wise are unaffected by either death or life. These are but faces of the same coin. And I certainly have not gotten there. I like that, but I don't know if I can ever do that. And then I have a quote from Shakespeare, A Midsummer Night's Dream. It's my little apology if I have offended you. I didn't mean to. This is just all my opinion. I mean, the facts, I told you the facts about some of these things, but my experiences or whatever, if you don't agree with me, don't agree with me. I'm just sharing. This is what the show is about, us sharing our stuff. Doesn't make us right or wrong or anything. It just makes us sharing. So the quote is, this is at the end of Midsummer Night's Dream, where Puck makes an apology to the audience about if they were offended by what happened in the show. If we shadows have offended, think but this, and all is mended, that you have but slumbered here while these visions did appear. And this weak and idle theme, no more yielding but a dream. Gentles, do not reprehend. If you pardon, we will mend. Just forget about it, people. It was a dream. Pardon me.
Is that where that jealous thing came from?
No, they made a mistake because after what was it, a season of Bobby was dead, right? And then she woke up in the shower. It was a dream. But yet on Knots Landing, Val had twins, and one of them was named after Bobby because he died. So there was a flaw. Okay.
They did it on Roseanne too.
Yes. That was a terrible thing. Yeah. I don't like that at all. That was, like, talk about not funny at all, like, awful. Yeah, when death hits a sitcom, it's usually not a good thing.
No.
Not a good thing at all. Yeah, they maybe want to reconsider that. All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you want to chime in, let us know what you think. And we are on Life in Jest podcast on Instagram, as well as a Facebook group we have. Let us know. And Life in Jest podcast at gmail.com. I don't know. I'll put it in the show notes. I think it's lifeandjustpodcast at gmail.com is the email. Could be wrong. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Did you know Microsoft has officially ended support for Windows 10? Upgrade to Windows 11 with an LG Gram laptop. Voted PC Mag's Reader's Choice Top Laptop Brand for 2025. Thin and ultra lightweight, the LG Gram keeps you productive anywhere. And Windows 11 gives you access to free security updates and ongoing feature upgrades. Visit lgusa.com/iHeart for great seasonal savings on LG Gram laptops with Windows 11. PC Mag Reader's Choice used with permission. All rights reserved.